What's going on, Spurs fans, and welcome to another Hotspur live stream here on Stateside Footy. I'm your host, Steve Silver, and God damn it, man, it is a absolute big match for Tottenham Hotspur. It is the El Sacico, Thomas Frank versus Nuno, and it's essentially going to be a battle of attrition in this match as two teams that are struggling to find footing in the Premier League, two teams that are absolutely desperate for 3 points. And including a club that literally has nothing to lose and is willing to maybe take a gamble or two, putting themselves in a position where maybe they could come away with 3 points and save their manager from the embarrassment of a sacking. Let's go ahead. Before we get into it, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons and also hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss out on the upcoming Stateside Footy content. By the way, tomorrow we will have a weekend wrap with Dermatron from Tottenham Hotspur TWD. So that should be definitely a good one. I want to welcome in the Natesky. Natesky is always good here in the chat as well too. He says, "Hey, Stateside, RIFCTID." I absolutely love it. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it because we're about 10 minutes away from the kick. Spurs find themselves in a very precarious situation considering that over the course of the last couple of months, it has progressively gotten worse. Yes, there was a win at Crystal Palace, but let's be perfectly honest, Crystal Palace kind of battered us in different portions of that game, and we were lucky not to concede. But outside of that, it really hasn't looked good, including going out of another cup competition. But that being said, Thomas Frank has had a full week on the grass to train this team. Train them up for this match against West Ham United, including also getting Conor Gallagher into the starting 11. So from that standpoint, it looks like there could be positive vibes. But again, it all depends on what the mentality and the attitude is with these players. Are they willing to go out there and just have a go and play free-flowing, freewheeling, high, front-footed football? Because if that's the case, man, we're going to have an excellent afternoon today. As a matter of fact, we're going to finally be able to have that joy as the weekend closes out. But if not, then all of a sudden that toxicity will continue to creep in, and we're going to hear the boo birds. We're going to hear the protests from Change for Tottenham, and this thing is only going to get worse. Also, I should say, if it does go in the opposite direction, all that goodwill bullshit from the board backing Thomas Frank will go by the wayside. Dan Davenport says, "Hey, Steve, how's it going, Danny? It's good to see you, man. I hope you're having a good weekend." Let's go ahead and get into the lineups because I did mention Conor Gallagher, and Conor here makes the match day photo. That's absolutely fantastic. Let's go ahead and talk about the Spurs starting 11, lining up in a 4-2-3-1. Obviously, Guillermo Vicario will be in net. No surprise there. The back four, we'll start with Pedro Porro on the right. Now, granted, yesterday I thought this might be a good opportunity to give Porro a breather, even if it's for 60, 70 minutes and maybe bring him on, whatever the case may be. I just thought this would probably be a strategic way to get Pedro Porro a breather, considering he's essentially an Iron Man for this Spurs team. But Thomas Frank desperately needs his ability to put balls into the box. So from that standpoint, not surprised to see that. Obviously, the center back pairing, Christian Romero comes in off a suspension, and he will have the captain's armband today, followed by his battery mate of Mickey Van de Ven. So obviously we're at full strength at the center back position. Ben Davis gets another start, and that's not all that surprising as well too. I actually had Ben Davis in my starting lineup as well too. The last two appearances, he's actually been pretty good. And one of the reasons why Ben Davis gets the nod over Jed Spence is because of his progressive passing off that left-hand side. We do seem to progress the ball up quicker with Ben Davis there. But also think about the hustle. He actually embodies what Spurs fans actually want. Somebody that actually is going to have the fight. He's not going to have quick gets. He's essentially the token mascot. But that being said, man, Ben Davies plays hard. It's going to be an interesting test because he is going up against Jared Bowen. So we'll find out exactly how that's going to look. But that being said, it's not surprising to see Ben Davis in the lineup. The double pivot is going to be Archie Gray and Conor Gallagher. And I guess the question that I have for all of you guys out there today is whether or not Thomas Frank is going to allow Conor Gallagher to be himself, meaning are you going to allow him to roam? Is he going to push up? Is this going to look like something where we're attacking with essentially five with Archie Gray a little bit more withdrawn, playing that 6 role while Conor Gallagher tucks in underneath, and it looks like we're attacking with 2 high 10s? Because if that's the case, it's going to add another wrinkle, another dimension into this attack where Conor Gallagher can both play off Matisse Tell and Ben Davis, especially if Matisse Tell wants to cut in on his foot, which allows Ben Davis to overlap. And it's going to be vice versa with Xavi Simmons as well, too, working with Odebear and Randall Colomawani. So if that's the case, this is going to be a very good afternoon. But if this is going to be something like we see with João Palhinha and Rodrigo Betancourt, where you have your double pivot so withdrawn, so pushed back that it's not going to make a difference, then this is going to be a long afternoon. The midfield 3 is going to be Matisse Tell off the left, and I'm glad that he's back in because I think Matisse Tell is rounding into form. He has been looking absolutely dangerous lately with Odebear off the right. Xavi Simmons will be underneath, and Xavi's going to have to play a huge role today because I have a feeling West Ham is going to give us a lot of space, and so we're going to have a lot of the ball. And Xavi Simmons is going to have to be able to pull the strings today against what I consider a weak back four for West Ham United. And up top is Randall Colomawani. Obviously, RKM has not gotten off to the greatest start here for Tottenham Hotspur, but now there's an opportunity because Dominic Solanke has not built himself up to a full 90, and there's a good stretch of games here where Colo can actually find himself into his season, potentially nick a goal or two, and get those positive vibes going because he scored pretty much wherever he's been except for Tottenham Hotspur. So here is the opportunity in a position where you should be able to develop some confidence, and we will find out exactly how that will play out. Let's turn to West Ham United, and they're coming in, off the back of a defeat to Wolves, and that's never a good look when you're losing to a team like Wolves, especially when Wolves get their first win against you. In net will be Areola. The back 4 will be Wan-Bissaka, who I actually like. I think he's a pretty good defender. Mavropanos and Todibo will be your center back pairing, and Scarless will be off the left-hand side. Susic and Fernandez is the double pivot, and that's going to be interesting as well, too, because both of those guys do have the ability to push forward. It's going to be interesting to see how Nuno is going to play this one because the blueprint to beat Spurs at home is just to press the shit out of them and watching them crumble. So I'm going to be interesting to see if Nuno is going to keep his philosophy intact, or because this is essentially El Sacico and you have nothing to lose, so you might as well throw everything at the board and see if something sticks in order to keep your job. So, I don't know. The midfield 3 will be Bowen off the right, who obviously is wearing the captain's band. Pablo underneath. Somerville, who I actually kind of like, will be playing off the left-hand side, and Castellanos will be up top. On the bench for both teams, Antonin Kinski and Desti Ujoji. Jed Spence will be on the bench. Same with Kevin Danso, Rado Dragashin. Lucas Bergvall will be on the bench. It's nice to see Bergvall back. Also, Yves Basuma makes the game day squad, which is actually kind of surprised considering when you look at the stance that Thomas Frank has taken with Yves, and it looked like he was most likely never going to play their game, and now all of a sudden he's back into the match day squad. That kind of sends an interesting message. Dane Scarlett and of course Dominic Solanke will be on the bench for Spurs as well too. So it's a little bit of a better bench for Thomas Frank. Again, I want to remind everybody to make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons and also hit the notification bell so you do not miss out on any upcoming stateside footy content. The chat is open all match long. And let's go ahead and see where we're at when it comes to this match. Let's see. We are getting pretty close. And we are underway here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as Vicario will boot this down a little bit down the left-hand side, and that ball is going to get popped up and held in. Xavi with the flick. As that ball is going to come down, there is a whistle, and it looks like Conor Gallagher collided heads. As we see this again, and it looked like it might have been, Pablo, who collided heads with Conor Gallagher there. But there is a whistle, and Pablo stays down on the pitch here. 32 seconds in, and now all of a sudden Jared Bowen wants a card. And it looks like a card has been given here. And it looks like Conor Gallagher's up. And there's the former manager here, Nuno Espirito Santos, as he finds himself in quite a pickle here as head coach of West Ham United. So yes, the yellow card will be issued to Castellanos of West Ham as we are waiting for play to resume. And I will say that if there is an opportunity for Spurs to be on the front foot, to essentially go for it and not necessarily worry about keeping a defensive structure, yes, you're going to be able to do that, but just to get numbers forward and just be on the front foot and allow your players just to do what they do best and put them in a position of strength. Today is going to be that day. One of the things that will absolutely hurt Thomas Frank is if they show too much respect to a team like West Ham. This is the opportunity to put this team to the sword, so everybody can see and say, it's like, oh, okay, I understand exactly what Thomas Frank is trying to do. This would be that type of game. And it looks like Pablo is up. One of the things that worries me a little bit is because, again, West Ham has absolutely nothing to lose. And they can literally throw anything at Spurs in a situation where they're absolutely desperate for 3. They're 7 points adrift. And play has resumed here. As now it looks like West Ham now will cross the midway line as that plays back to Tobito. And now they'll play it off to the right. Here's Wan-Bissaka. And it looks like Ben Davis does a good job against the right-hand touchline on Jared Bowen. Good pressure right there by Ben Davis. And, it's interesting, too. Spurs' defensive shape, it looks like they're, essentially defending in a 4-4-2. As that ball will go up high up the pitch. It lands at the foot of Ben Davis. Flicked on right there by Randall Colomwani. And Ben Davis will corral that loose ball. So Spurs will try to progress the ball up the pitch as that ball gets played back to Pedro Porro. And now he's going to send one over the top. And he was looking for Wilson Odobert. And this was last touched by West Ham United. Here's Pedro Porro in the box. Here's a shot, Tell. Ooh, and he puts one over the bar. Oh. As we see this one again, this ball was corralled by Porro. He plays one in, headed away. And it looks like Odobert was trying to take a shot. And he kind of duffed that one, but that falls right to the foot of Matisse Tell. And he plays one right over the bar. So early, Spurs trying to get some rhythm. Here's Ben Davis taking that ball away. And Xavi Simons overplayed that ball as West Ham now will play this back. And that ball will get played forward. Headed away by Romero. Balls to Matisse Tell. Tell plays one forward. And it's Xavi Simons. Ooh, good defense right there by West Ham as that plays out. And it looks like that was Mavros Panos with a good sliding tackle right there to play that ball out. As play resumes, it's Matisse Tell off the left-hand touchline, trying to itch his way forward to the box. Here's Ben Davis is going to play one, although that was a wonky cross. And Randall Colomwani is going to have to chase it, but That ball gets played off of Pedro Porro. So this will be a West Ham throw in here. I want to thank the 484 that are tuning in to this live stream. Play has resumed as West Ham will have possession here. Here's Mavropanos, and he'll play it down to Wan-Bissaka off the right-hand side, and now they're going to try to move this a little centrally. That ball is going to get played forward, and it will come down and out of play. Last touched, it looks like it was, again, out off of Castellanos right there. As Thomas Frank finds himself in a crazy predicament right now as manager of Spurs, has yet to really allow his team to get forward freely. It has been quite the pragmatic approach, as Mickey Van de Ven will send one forward, and that'll absolutely get over the head of Rando Kolomwani there, as that'll come down to Todibo. Here's Wan-Bissaka. Oh, nice play. Matisse Tell takes it away. That'll go out, but it looks like maybe Wan-Bissaka right there will get whistled for a foul. So Spurs will have the possession here with Archie Gray. And he will send this across. The switch to Romero. Played back to Mickey Van de Ven. Here's Ben Davis. And it finds its way over to Christian Romero, as they are just passing it between the back three here, as it looks like West Ham is trying to apply a little bit of pressure. And now finally the ball moves forward, and it looks like it's going to be Conor Gallagher. That ball will move up the right-hand touch line, and that looks like it'll get out for a corner, as Wilson Odebear had that ball kind of poked away right there by Fernandez. Good defense right there by Fernandez, who just stuck his foot in there. So this will be Spurs' first corner at the 7.5-minute mark. And there's the new assistant coach from Ajax. So Matisse Tell will have the duty of the in-swinger here. And that ball will go up and headed away. And now it's going to be cleared by Mavropanos, as Pedro Porro will go back to collect this one, and now will play it all the way back to Vicario. So Spurs will reset. Here's Xavi. And that ball finds it's all the way to the right to Christian Romero. Spurs will reset with Conor Gallagher, as he is playing deeper than I would like him. Here's Xavi off the left-hand side. He's going to play one forward, but there was nobody there except for Mavropanos, as Jarrett Bowen will hit this one, and it'll go out. So far it's been kind of interesting. Ben Davis will throw one in, as Fernandez now hits this one forward, finds Bowen, kick down, and Pablo gets his back pocket pit. Here's Pedro Porro racing forward, and that ball gets deflected. And here's Fernandez. Nice play by Fernandez to break free. Here comes West Ham. He's going to try to play one forward. And it looks like it was Christian Romero to block that passing lane right there. And it really has kind of been a battle of attrition for the first 10 minutes. Spurs a little bit more daring getting forward, but not by much. West Ham just yet has been able to establish themselves. And Spurs have pretty much held possession. As it's Mickey Van de Ven. Here's Ben Davis. Here's Matisse Tell. Tries off the half turn. Has got to play it back. as Wan-Bissaka had the pressure right there. And now they will switch to the right-hand side again. And that ball plays forward. Here's Xavi. Excuse me, it was Odegaard. That, regardless, it takes a deflection and cleared. But it does fall to West Ham here. Here's Tobito. And Scarlett will play it forward. Spurs are doing a good job of kind of closing down the wing. West Ham really wants to attack down that right-hand side. And there's just nothing there. As that ball will clear Christian Romero, but West Ham, the ball comes down to West Ham here, right in the central part. And it'll be Fernandez. As that will make it to the left-hand side. Ball in, little overshot, but here's Fernandez. Ball taken away from Conor Gallagher. Gallagher will play it off the right-hand side. Here's Odegaard, back to Gallagher, who tried to make a flick. A nice little give and go. That ball was just a little too heavy touched. And Areola now will try to clear it. As Ben Davis got his head on it. And there's going to be a whistle right there against Conor Gallagher. Against Susek. So this will be a free kick here for West Ham. Good hustle right there by Conor Gallagher. Yeah, his foot got in there late. Play is resumed. As Pablo absolutely got hammered right there. A great tackle. And it looks like Spurs really at this stage haven't really given West Ham an inch. They're doing everything right. And Mavros Panos has to play this back to Areola, who will chip it forward. There's Romero. And Susek will play this back again. West Ham just can't get forward. Great defensive job right by Spurs. 12 minutes in. As West Ham now will play this one forward. Off the right-hand side, here's Wan-Bissaka. He's there. Here's Bowen. Tries to play it in. That's deflected. Here's Susek. Back to Bowen. And he'll lay this down to Mavros Panos. And now West Ham will try to switch. As that makes its way all the way to the left. Here's Fernandez. And Spurs have done a good job. And now here's Wan-Bissaka. 1v1. And he will lay this off to Bowen. Susek. Now will charge against Davis. Susek plays one across. Headed down. Shoots. Ooh, and it just goes wide right. And it looks like that might have been Tati. Yeah. Good play right there by West Ham for getting one in. Spurs now will play out from the back. Yeah, West Ham is putting pressure on. Oh! West Ham scored, but I think there was a whistle prior to that as Mickey Van de Ven goes down. And it's going to be Tati, yeah, for sure. We'll clip Mickey Van de Ven. Obviously, no goal right there. I was going to say, holy shit, that's not the way you want to concede. Good call by the ref right there, but that ball's taken away quickly as Fernandez. As Spurs were trying to progress, Fernandez was what took that pass away. As Bowen will progress it. Here's Tati. And now this ball makes its way to the left-hand side. Somerville checks in. Somerville shoots. And it's a goal by West Ham. Unbelievable. And this is the thing. You know, for as for as lively as they look, Spurs do just absolutely leak goals. Holy shit. Under no circumstances are you going to be able to do that in that situation. And now all of a sudden, momentum has changed. Although that happened about 2 minutes ago. But reality is, it's like, for as good as Spurs were in that first 13-ish minutes, look at the space that they just give up. And it's Pedro Porro against Somerville. And he just cuts in. And Archie Gray doesn't step up. And in that space, there's Conor Gallagher as well, too. Nobody steps up to close down Somerville. And he gets a free look at the near post. How does that happen? Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh. So West Ham will take the lead in the 15th minute. So all it took was 15 minutes for Spurs to concede. And now it looks like there might be somebody down on the pitch for Spurs, as looks like Thomas Frank is absolutely livid. And it looks like the new assistant. Oh, man. Looks like the new assistant is also potentially making it look like he's giving suggestions to Thomas Frank. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. And the fan, it looks like the Boo Birds are coming out. Oh, dear. Yeah, there's the no BS cards. Wow. You know, is that Ben Davis that's down? Yep. As we see it again. Yep. Ben Davis came in for a challenge on Jared Bowen, and he is still down, and it looks like Jed Spence. Oh, boy, they're going to put the air cast on him. Oh, dear. So Dr. Tottenham. Yeah, I know, for fuck's sake. Dr. Tottenham, again, has reared its ugly head, as Ben Davis now is out, and it looks like Jed Spence will have to come in. So for those Jed Spence fans, there you go. So as we look at this again, as that ball was played into Somerville, yeah, just nobody closed him down. Off that left-hand side, he was able to cut in. Again, teams that have nothing to lose. And now all of a sudden, Ben Davis comes out, and we can add that one to the stockpile of players that are injured, as he's got the air cast on. So you wonder if there was a break. Hopefully, it's not a cruciate. Don't get me wrong. I hope it's not a break for Ben Davis' sake either. I'm hoping that all this is just a like maybe a high ankle. But regardless, he's being carried off. Best wishes to Ben Davis, and hopefully you get a speedy recovery, my friend. So Spurs are forced to make a change here in the 18th minute, as Jed Spence now will come on and have the responsibility of defending Jared Bowen and Basaka off that left hand side. As play will resume, as that ball gets played back to Vicario. I absolutely hate that Spurs do that. They essentially concede possession, as finally that ball will come down. And it finds Tati, who now is going to play it forward. Here's Somerville now. Oh, that ball actually drifted a little bit to the right. As Van de Ven will have to clear this now. As Matisse Tell thought he had it. Xavi takes it away. And looks like there's going to be a whistle against Fernandez right there. Play resumes. That's taken away by Bowen. And now Bowen will try to dribble around Connor Gallagher. Not today, my friend. As Connor will come away with that ball. As he does find Jed Spence, but Spence with a heavy touch as that ball will go off that right-sided touchline right there. So this will be a West Ham throw-in as Spurs fans look dejected, conceding. Here's Wan-Bissaka. Try to play it through, and now it'll fall to Xavi as Xavi's going to run. He's going to play one forward, and it looks like Randall Kolomowani hit the deck right there. No whistle. As that ball made its way all the way back to Areola. So West Ham now will have possession. And here's Todibo. I have trouble with that name. As that passes all the way to Mavros Panos. As Wan-Bissaka will play one forward, headed down by Mickey Van de Ven. Here's Jed Spence. Plays one in to Xavi. Back to Spence, who's now going to run down the left-hand side. 1v2. Good pass. Here's Xavi. Cuts. Xavi. And that will go wide left. And this will be a goal kick here for West Ham. As Xavi just thought he might just take a chance right there. As Areola now will play this long. And that's going to spring Somerville down the left-hand side. 1v1 against Van de Ven. Somerville plays one in. Tati. Oh. Again, West Ham is able to work that ball deep. And it was a nice chip forward to spring Somerville. And he was able to get one around Mickey Van de Ven. But it takes a bounce off of Tadi's foot. But here comes Spurs now. Ooh, good defense. As that'll stay in Spurs possession. It's Wilson Odebear. Here's Xavi. Now it's Archie Gray. Gray will play it all the way to Jed Spence, who's going to have to cut in to try to make a move. And Spence will play it off to Christian Romero. Drop it deep was Wilson Odebear to make a touch. And now Pablo's going to try to press as that ball will get out. As Pedro Porro couldn't play it around. As West Ham did a good job of sealing off passing lanes down that right side. And all of a sudden now the energy and the start to this match has kind of switched as West Ham kind of has momentum now. As that ball will go in. As it'll find Christian Romero. Here's Van de Ven. Plays it forward to Jed. And now Jed will slow it down. As they find Matisse Tell now with space. Tell. Oh! And Spurs couldn't score. They had an empty net. Oh, nice play by Archie Gray. As West Ham comes out of the scrum with the ball, Somerville makes a touch. And here comes Jared Bowen, 1v1 against Romero. Plays it across. Here's Pablo. And looks like that is going to go off Pedro Porro. And I think this is going to be a West Ham corner. But a good ball forward to spring Jared Bowen. He had a runner, just a Oh yeah, and see that's the thing. It's like Pablo's going to have to make a one-touch shot at that point. But back on the other end, a good cross in that found Wilson Odeberg. He couldn't bury it, and it looks like Randall Colomwani was at the back post for a tap in. Missed opportunity for Spurs there in the 24th minute. As Somerville now will have the cross here. That ball goes in. Headed up. Oh. And Tati nearly buried it at the back post. As that was headed on. And it did find Tati. And Spurs will try to start quick here. And there's a whistle. As Pedro Porro is put on his ass. Oh. Yeah. I definitely agree. It wouldn't be a Spurs match day unless we got an injury. I concur. Play is about to resume here. It is the 25th minute as Christian Romero will stand over this. Play resumes with Mickey Van de Ven. And that'll find Jed Spence now. As, oh boy, Xavi tried to play it back. There was nobody there. So now West Ham will have the throw in. I thought there was going to be a quick throw in. But Jared Bowen decides something different. So Wan-Bissaka now will have the toss. West Ham currently is out leading the possession battle 51-49. As, yeah, there's going to be a whistle right there against Wilson Odeberg. That's Wan-Bissaka literally just essentially stopped play right there. I do want to thank the 689 of you that are watching in live. I do definitely appreciate it. Play is resumed. Here's Matisse Tell trying to cut in. Tell. There's the ball takes a deflection. And now West Ham turns it right back over. Here's Pedro Porro. Here's Connor. Lays it off to Pedro, who's going to play one. And Wan-Bissaka is there to head it away. And now it's Jared Bowen as West Ham will have possession. Susek plays it right back. And that ball is going to end up in Spurs possession here. Nice turnover by Spurs. Let's see if they can actually capitalize on it. Here's Tell. 1v1 against Bissaka. He's in the box. Tell will shoot, but it will go wide. Spurs just have zero creativity. And that's that is the long end of the circumstances, really, when you kind of look at where they're getting some of these turnovers. They don't turn quick. They don't move with any type of efficiency. They literally just slow things down, and it plays to their detriment. There's no inside runs. There's just nothing. Here comes Somerville again. And Somerville tries to shoot, but he misses the right post right there by about a good foot. He had Jared Bowen right next to him. As Spurs fans look dejected. It's a shame, too. This was the perfect opportunity to take the baby out with the bathwater. But apparently Frank likes bathwater. Play resumes with Christian Romero. Here's Archie Gray off the turn. Plays one forward. Here's Xavi. Lays one down to Matisse Tell. Tell's in the box. Lays one off to Xavi. Fernandez takes it away. That ball actually going to get passed forward. Finds Matisse Tell. Here's Tell. And it looks like it would be Mavros Pavros. Last touch. So this will actually go out for a Spurs corner here as we're approaching the 30-minute mark. Good defense right there by Mavros Pavros. I would assume that guy is Greek. And it looks like Fernandez is down for West Ham United. And looks like he'll get up. Looks like he's okay. Nuno has to be pleased with his team so far. Up 1-0. So Spurs now will have the corner. It'll be Matisse Tell, who swings one in, headed back, falls down to Pedro Porro. Xavi will tip it back to Tell, and Tell, instead of playing one back in, loses control. Here's Jed Spence. Tipped away, back to Tell. Tell will play one in. That's deflected. Here's Tell again. Jared Bowen with a nice tackle. And Bowen's going to have to play this one. He does have Somerville, but right there is Wilson Odebear to clean that up. As Spurs restart with Mickey Van de Ven, who does find Pedro Porro. And it's insane that they're just not playing with a sense of urgency. Hanging around the midway line, essentially keeping possession with their three center backs. Their back three. And down on the turf. And it looks like this might be Fernandez, maybe. Yeah, it is. And this time it was Archie Gray that got him. Looks like he's okay. So we are now in the 32nd minute now. West Ham still leading 1-0. The fan base are getting restless because it was not supposed to play out this way. This was supposed to be, essentially an easy 3 points. It's been anything thus. West Ham's back four, which is notoriously bad, has actually been playing pretty well today. And it just goes to show you right now that even teams like West Ham can come into the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and all of a sudden find themselves in a game. Oh, man. Let's see. In the middle of getting my Europe DT, no, it hurts more. My tattoo or losing to West Ham. I don't know, man. I got a tattoo. I'm getting my left arm sleeve going, and so I actually had it yesterday, and that actually hurts significantly less than what I'm watching right now. And it looks like Fernandez will come off now. So West Ham might be playing with down a man for about 30 seconds. As play resumes with Conor Gallagher. Here's Archie. As that ball goes into Randall Colomwani. Makes a nice little turn. Good play right there by West Ham, and now it's Somerville. As it finds Susek. So West Ham will have possession. Here's Mavros Pavros. I like saying his name. That ball gets played forward. Oh, he had Wan-Bissaka on an inside run right there. A little too heavy as it finds Jed Spence. So Spurs, again, will have possession. And we'll see what they're capable of here. It looks like the double pivot of Archie Gray and Conor Gallagher have essentially been withdrawn. Neither one is attacking or trying to get forward, trying to play that deep lying playmaker role. maybe a late box crasher. Here's Xavi Simons. He had Odebear on the overlap right there, and the pass was just not strong enough. Unbelievable. Here's Pablo trying to play one in. It takes a deflection, but here's Jared Bowen now. Into the box up the right-hand side. Cuts in, Bowen. And that's going to take a deflection off of Mickey Van de Ven. Basaka finds Susek. Here's Bowen again. 1v1 against Gray. As that one will get out. And I think this might be a West Ham corner here. How is this one going to go? Yeah, I think that might be off of Gray. So West Ham will have another opportunity. As that ball swings in. That'll drop. Somerville plays one. Oh, save! Oh, and Bowen scores! Oh, and they're going to say offside. Oh, Spurs are so lucky. As that dropped down to Somerville, who makes the strike. Oh, yeah, he was. 100% offside. And Spurs are absolutely lucky to not be down 2. As Spurs now will have the goal kick. So, yeah, the VAR decision is no goal offside. Spurs are super fortunate not to be going down 2 in this situation. If they do, this thing is pretty much OVER. Here's Van de Ven. And Van de Ven's going to try to play one. And there's Wan-Bissaka. Susek plays it down to Bowen, who tips it to himself. And Bowen wins that ball back, taken away by Gray. Here's Jed Spence. And now there's the switch to the right-hand side. Here's Pedro Porro. Tried to play one forward. Good tip forward by Wilson Odebear. That clearance is deflected. Here's Porro again. Deflected. Spurs are doing a great job of holding this ball deep. Here's Porro. And Wan-Bissaka now clears it. Here's Jed Spence. Oh, nice play by Jared Bowen. What a tackle. No foul. I thought for sure there was going to be a late whistle there, but it's Fernandez. Here's Wan-Bissaka. Now we'll play this all the way down, looking for Pablo. But right there is Christian Romero. And he will play this back to Vicario. And now Connor Gallagher will have the ball at his feet and immediately plays it off to Pedro Porro. And Porro now will play forward. It's Randall Kolo-Muani. And unbelievably, he finds Kolo-Muani. And there's a takeaway right here by West Ham. No foul against RKM. Somerville still with the ball at his feet. And they say play on. And now there's a whistle. And it's a yellow. And I believe this is against Archie Gray. Yeah. Yep. So Gray will collect his first yellow here as Somerville stays down. As West Ham had themselves a good transition right there, trying to play to their strong side. And it looks like unbelievable. It looks like fans are leaving. And all you have to do is look at the faces of these home supporters. Dejected, withdrawn, looking for something here. So this will be a free kick, and it looks like it'll be Fernandez? Yep. As that ball gets played in, it finds Susek, hits it forward. Oh, what a save by Vicario. That was looking like it was going in. Vicario again. Wonderful save, but the ball will stay in West Ham's side. Here's Bowen. Bowen will play it in, and that'll take a deflection off of Gray. So this will be another West Ham corner, and all of a sudden the Hammers are applying the pressure. That was a hell of a save right there by Vicario. As that was a good header. So West Ham, again. As that ball gets swung in, headed away, and Fernandez does the right thing by keeping possession. And Wan-Bissaka will play it all the way back to Areola. As that's the sensible decision, as Areola now will play it forward. Headed into a central area, there's Pedro Porro, and he will play it back to Vicario. As we are getting close to the end of the first half here, Spurs really have only had two-ish solid looks at net in the first half. One by Matisse Tell, one by Xavi, both wide left. And outside of that, there was the Odebear header as well too. As Spurs figured out a way not to score on open net. As of right now, West Ham touches inside the opposition box. West Ham has 16 to Spurs 11. And, from the run of play, it's same old Spurs. Here's Tell trying to get around. As that ball will find its way out. And it looks like it'll be a Spurs throw-in. As Scarless has done a good job on the left-hand side for West Ham. Here's Gallagher. Plays it off to Romero. Back to Connor Gallagher in a good area. Plays it out to Pedro Porro. Finds Odebear. As Pedro Porro looks like he gets his back pocket pick, but Fernandez can't keep it in. So this will be a Spurs throw-in. As Thomas Frank can't be happy with this performance here. And I would probably suspect that we're going to hear the Boo Birds at the half, as it obviously did not play the way that Thomas Frank had drawn this thing up. As here's Archie Gray. We'll play it back, and Porro will play one in, head it on forward, and that'll clear the far post right there. So this will be a goal kick. Spurs just literally cannot get anything going in their attacking side. As we reach the 44th minute. As Areola will play this one deep. As it'll find Jared Bowen, who plays it forward. Good defense right there by Spurs. And now Fernandez will lay this one off to the left. Here's Scarless will play the one in. Ooh, that'll drop to Wan-Bissaka, though. And then he turns it over to RKM. So here come the Spurs on the counter, taken away right there by Mavros Pavros. So as quick as it starts, it ends. You're Scarless. And it's too easy for West Ham, as there's going to be eight minutes here of extra time at the end of the first half, as it's Odebear, as Conor Gallagher's touch doesn't do much. And yeah, there's going to be another card, this one against Christian Romero for the early challenge against Somerville. And as that seems like it was, I guess, a necessary card. But that being said, Christian Romero has a knack of getting a little emotional when things aren't going right. And of course, Somerville's already scored a goal here. As this free kick here for West Ham, and it gets played back to Areola, who will try to play this down the right side. Nothing much there, as it finds its way to Mavros Pavros, and West Ham will play it in. That's a good ball to Fernandez. Excuse me, that was Pablo, who plays it over to the right-hand side. Here's Bowen. 1v1 against Jed Spence. Will cut, puts one in, headed away. Susek tries to play it. Tap forward. There's Matisse Tell. Ooh. And here comes Spurs. That ball's a little too heavy. And it was Mavros Pavros. He's everywhere. And Spurs try to counter here with Jed Spence. Down the left-hand side, plays one forward. And it's a foot race, and it looks like Tobito wins that challenge right there. Here comes West Ham now. It's Jared Bowen. Here's Tati. Plays it forward. Good defense right there by Christian. And that's going to get played out, looks like, by Susek here. So this will be a Spurs throw-in, as Thomas Frank is urging this team to calm down. It's like, no. This team needs to play with a sense of urgency. They have enough time to put one in before the half. That ball takes a deflection, but it finds Rando Colomwani. Here's Pedro Porro now from the right side. Plays one in. Good save right there by Areola. I don't necessarily think he was looking for a shot. Looks like he was trying to play one low, trying to find the foot of an attacker. There just was nobody there. As Areola will play one forward. Here's Somerville now. He's going to try to attack 1v1 against Conor Gallagher. And Romero takes a deflection. Here comes Tati. We'll save it against Romero. As Odebear has it taken away. As Scarlett will have to play this one back. But West Ham has absolutely controlled this game for the last 15, 20 minutes. Spurs have looked absolutely toothless in attack. There's just no bite. There's not even a bark. Here's Archie Gray after the takeaway now. Will play one forward. Tries to find Odebear, but there's Somerville. And West Ham shuts that down. As Conor Gallagher will try to play one forward. As that'll come down. And there's going to be a foul against Susek. As Rando Colomwani will hit the deck here. I don't see the foul there. Both went up with their spikes to get that ball. Both feet came down. And it looks like Randall Colomwani right there had a nice little acting job in order to get that. Fair enough. So this will be a free kick in a very dangerous area for Spurs here. Can Spurs draw the equalizer at the end of the first half? 3 more minutes of stoppage. Here's Matisse Tell. Finds Pedro. Here's Xavi. Here's Odegaard. Here's Xavi. Beats his man. Xavi's going to play one. Headed forward. As Mavros tried to clear it. And that ball will get out. Oh. This is tough to watch. Do you know what the bitch about it is, too? And I'm going to tell you guys. The bitch about it is that in a couple of weeks I'll be in London to watch this team play Arsenal. And if I have no hope against West Ham, and it looks like the fans are leaving at the half. Oh, boy. Here's Archie Gray. And Gray just kind of weaves forward here. Here's Tell. Ball in. Deflection. It takes a deflection off of Jed Spence. Here's Somerville now. Spurs fans have left right before the half. The interesting thing is that, especially when you get a new coach that plays a different style, yes, Thomas Frank was absolutely right. There are going to be losses. But that being said, there also should be results as well, too. There never should be these type of performances against a team that you know for a fact you should probably play off the park. And this is the first half, which is the same first half we saw against Villa as well, too. It's just, it's literally just, it's inexcusable. Here's Archie Ray. By the way, has Conor Gallagher been a difference maker yet? Not at all. As that ball makes its way all the way up, does find Odegaard, tries to chip it across, but there's Areola right there. I mean, it's absolutely mind-numbing. It's like, eventually, you're going to have to change something. Because the way that he's trying to play just simply isn't working. And this is a West Ham team that, with our attackers, we should be able to do something. And it's just more of the same as that ball gets played forward. And looks like there's Scarless right there to play that one out. As Greg 1987 says, have a great stream. Off topic, your boy Damian Downs got a loan. Yeah, he did. Yep, he sure did. And that's actually a great move for Damian as well, too, because he needed that. But, yep, you're absolutely right. As it looks like we will head to the half here. As listen, man. Unfortunately, these are going to be the results, and it sucks. The board has, essentially said that, they have faith and trust. Although me personally, I find that more posturing than anything else. That being said, if the second half continues and we end up dropping to West Ham, I would probably assume that there has to be a switch, and it has nothing. Like, I like Thomas Frank, I really do, but you bring in a guy like Conor Gallagher to potentially link up with a guy like Xavi Simons, and there is no link. As a matter of fact, Conor Gallagher in that first half, with the exception of a few touches, has essentially been persona non grata as they continue to try they continue to try to play, up the wings, try to find a couple give and goes to free up somebody they can play one into the box. But when that's not happening, and you see Spurs try to shuffle between their back three, there is no creativity in the center parts of the pitch. There's no inverted little cheeky inverted runs where you can play a ball in. It's mind numbing after a while, to the point where it's like, it almost feels like they run out of options, and it's like, okay, cool, here's what we're gonna do. Dart one, nope, doesn't work. Dart two, and it's just, after a while, your board is gonna have to look at this and make a decision, because here's the thing: as much as I don't want to see this coaching carousel continue, results have to matter. Like, we were supposed to kick on from the Europa League, and then we hire a coach that has no Champions League experiences, has none of that experience of having to, navigate three matches per week, where you don't necessarily have the time on the training pitch, right? This was an absolute fumble from the board. And it's going to have to require a guy like Johan Lang to admit that he got it wrong. But that being said, we're not going to hear from him. And we're never going to hear that he's going to admit that he got it wrong, because his livelihood is at stake as well, too. So from that standpoint, this is exactly what Christian Romero was saying in his post. Greg 1987 says, "Are Spurs still a top 10 job?" Yeah, it is. And I will explain to you why. Because one of the things that we're seeing, especially when you look at the summer with Mohamed Kudus and Xavi and Polinia and Randall Colomwani and now Conor Gallagher, it looks like they're potentially trying to commit to bring a better caliber player through the door. And if that's the case, a coach who's going to look at this and saying, oh, finally the Spurs are going to be in a position where they're actually going to provide quality for a manager, I would probably assume a top manager would probably think of this place as attractive, because under Levy, it wasn't. You had your hands tied behind your back under Levy. Let's see. I smell insider trading. Spells funny. Can't be this bad suddenly. It's either, here's the thing. It's either one of two things. It's either Frank is bad. Well, let me back this up. It's either the players are actually bad, or it's Frank is so bad that the players, just aren't playing for him. It's one or the other. Let's go ahead and take a look at the halftime stats here. As Tottenham did win the possession battle 56-44, but we should be like at the 65, pushing 70% possession against this team. But this thing is actually kind of closer than you would like. XG, West Ham 1.34 to Spurs 0.94. Total shots 11-8. Shots on target 3-2. Both team had two big chances. Both missed their two big chances. Accurate passes, Spurs 205, West Ham 163. Fouls committed, West Ham 7, Spurs 4. And West Ham leads the quarter battle 3-2. Speaking of XG, here's the kicker though. XG in open play, West Ham 0.48, Spurs 0.83. So from that standpoint, it looks, I guess a little bit better. But that being said, I don't give a shit how much possession you have if you're not doing anything with it. It's like the lonely guy at the bar that thinks he's got a shot with the hot chick until, the hot guy comes in and takes her home. Like, it doesn't matter how much you wine and dine somebody unless you can't close the deal. XG from set play. West Ham 0.86 to Spurs 0.11. Let's look at shots inside the box. West Ham 11, Spurs 7. Shots outside the box 1-0 for Spurs. Passes, total passes 248 to 199 for Spurs. Passes in their own half 114.89 Spurs. Passes in the opposition half 91.74. Accurate balls 15-14 West Ham. Both teams are even with 2 when it comes to accurate crosses. Touches in the opposition box 2017 West Ham. Let's look at the discipline. Spurs have 3 yellow cards to West Ham's 1. The tackle battle, West Ham's leading that 10-8. The interception battle, West Ham is leading that 10-4, which is actually kind of disturbing. Clearances, West Ham 16, Spurs 9. Blocks, Spurs 4, West Ham 0. Keeper saves 2-2. The duel battle is even at 29. Ground duels, Spurs 19, West Ham 18. Aerial duels, West Ham 11, Spurs 10. And successful dribbles 5-4 West Ham. And you would look at that, and you would say, okay, well, in a certain context, it might be even. But that being said, it's like what I saw in that first half was a toothless attack. Spurs, yes, have the ability to get a turnover in a very advantageous position, but instead of actually just playing the ball forward and being a little bit more lethal, they pump the brakes and they try to work the ball around. And at that point, we concede space, and it is what it is. And unfortunately, West Ham took advantage of their one opportunity, and that's where we're at. Outside of maybe Wilson Odebear getting on that ball in the box, Spurs haven't necessarily been close. And I guess you can say that on the one hand, I guess congratulations, West Ham. Maybe they're tightening up their back four, but it seems like West Ham is the team that's far more hungrier. Benny Guy, good to see you, man. With all due respect, second season of Ange tenure. Soon as I saw BetGM logo as a new sponsor, I knew something was up. Gut feeling. I don't know. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Is this what you mean by insider trading? And what do you mean by that? Is like what money switching hands? Like, you got to be a little bit more. You got to elaborate a little bit more. He goes on to say XG equals betting terms to be exact. Allow me that much. Come on. We ain't fools. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, yeah. Okay. Maybe. Ooh. What's going on here? Let's go. Jesus Christ. As we are getting ready for the start of the second half, guys, let me know how you felt about it. Me personally, I thought it was dog shit. So let's see. Trump recently pardoned Joe Louis. Joe Louis was for betting against his own club. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, Benny. I heard something about it, but I didn't necessarily pay all that attention. But that being said, if that was the case, then there should have been an internal investigation within the Premier League. If you're betting against your own team, that right there is harsh, and that's also worth an investigation. So if that's the case, man, if that is the case, there should be an investigation with the Premier League. And without a doubt, and Joe Louis should probably be sanctioned. As we were waiting for the start of the second half to get underway here, let's see, was a club we could just high politics? Okay, crimes in high places. Well, listen, man. If you're a dude that's a billionaire, okay, there are certain advantages that you're going to be afforded, and especially if you are floating in the right circles, right? So I get the impression that both Joe Louis and Trump are good pals. So yeah, I would probably assume there's probably not going to be any repercussions for you doing something like that. But that being said, if you're an organizing body like the Premier League and you have a set standard, then those standards should probably be met. Yeah. And so, yeah, there probably should be an investigation. I wouldn't mind seeing it. And if that means, if that means there's if that means from the Premier League, there are repercussions, then good. It's something that we absolutely should have. As I'm still trying to wait for my stream to catch up. This is absolutely. It's bullshit. For sure. I agree with that. Yeah, they do. The interesting thing is like if especially in this country, if I'm caught, insider trading, or if I'm caught, running a gambling ring, for sure, man, my actions are 100% going to be held accountable. Like I don't have any illusion, but it is what it is. And again, I just hope that there are repercussions for certain actions, especially from the Premier League, right? If you're going to charge, now granted, I know this was probably a bad analogy, but if you're going to charge Manchester United with 115 charges, surely you could charge Joe Louis with betting against his team, but I digress. I do want to thank the 791 of you that are tuning into this one. I do appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, and also hit the notification bell as well too, because we are on a race to 500. We're actually dangerously close to 400. But that being said, I would appreciate that because tomorrow we will have the weekend wrap with the Dermatron, and it should be absolutely fantastic. And it looks like Spurs are back on the pitch here for the second half. And hopefully there is a change in attitude with these players, because that first half ended with pretty much the momentum going by way of West Ham United. And that has to change. I would like to see a goal within the first 5 minutes, ideally. Maybe I'm asking too much, who knows? But that being said, it's like something has to give here. And if this is the type of performance we're going to see, then surely this has to be the end. This has to be the end, because there are certain things that are and aren't excusable. And losing to West Ham, who are literally 7 points adrift from Nottingham Forest, there's just no excuse. But that being said, we also dropped points against Wolves earlier as well too. So it is what it is, man. I know, dude. I hate to be that guy. I really do. I hate to be that guy that picks against Spurs. I said 2-1 yesterday because, until you're actually going to show consistency, I'm sorry, dude. I'm not going to be a happy clapper. I have expectations, and I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong for having high expectations, but I do believe that this team is capable. It just has to want to, and it takes its cues from its head coach. There's Richarlison and João Palhinha. Looks like, how about João, man? Looking debonair. As we are ready to start the second half, the Spurs are going to be playing from left to right to the south stand, which is per. And it's going to be interesting to see how many people come back from halftime. There was a mass exodus, and it looks like I heard the boo birds there at the end of the first half as well too. So play is resumed as Mavros Pavros now will chuck this one forward. As Jed Spence now will get on the end of that. That'll get out. So this will be a throw-in for West Ham United. And again, like as I was saying, the Hammers are 7 points adrift in the table, desperate for 3 points. As that ball is kind of tinkering around the box now, it'll finally be cleared, but there is a whistle. And it looks like Conor Gallagher is kind of wincing a little bit. Nice to see Gallagher back in the Premier League after a nice little hiatus there in Spain. Very good move by Spurs, and it kind of threw me for a loop at first just because these are not the type of players Spurs have targeted in the course of the last couple of years. So it was nice to see Spurs get somebody in their prime for the actual cost. It was a good piece of business, as Areola now will play this one forward. And as Fernandez pops it up, and that ball is going to get played back, and it looks like Jet Spence will play it back to Vicario, but then he plays it right back to Spence, right back into the teeth of West Ham's press. Is that? Oh, that's Yves Bissouma. And it looks like Basuma's come on for Archie Gray. Is that Yves? As here's Van de Ven, will play it all the way. Here's Pedro Porro, will play it forward. Here's Odebear, lays it back off to Odebear. That's going to get tipped away. And that'll get out as I check this real quick. Yep, and it looks like Yves Bissouma now has come on. That's interesting. Ugh. So Thomas Frank not only has brought Yves Bissouma back into the first team, he's actually brought him out on the pitch, and that is an interesting turn of events, considering he was persona non grata. And when you make a line in the sand, you better keep to it, and that's going to be taken away by Bowen. But then all of a sudden he gets stripped. Here's Bissouma. Basuma's going to take a shot, but right there was Areola. As Bissouma takes one from well outside the 18. Good shot, but easy save. As Susek will try to play it forward. Here's Conor Gallagher now, as there's a turnover. And that one's going to get out. It looks like it'll be a West Ham throw. But it's not surprising that Thomas Frank is weak, because that's a weak move, right? When you send a message to your entire team that you're not going to be a part of this. And I understand there's injuries. I get it. But, you also have academy midfielders that you can put on your bench, and you can have them around the first team, as that ball's going to figure its way all the way back to Vicario. But it sends a message to the rest of your team that not only are you weak, but you can get over on your coach. And we've seen that already, because, with bad play as a metric, there have been a few players that had consistent stretches of bad play only to be rewarded for a start right after. And so, yeah, for me, this is just par for the course for Thomas Frank. But Spurs have possession here with Jed Spence. That's going to get played to the outside. Here's Matisse Tell. 1v1 against Basaka. Here's Xavi. Plays it off to Jed. Jed's going to try to cut around, and that shot goes way wide. And again, as the Spurs start the second half, as you can see where West Ham has essentially fortified their back line. They're not allowing Spurs into the box. As Areola now will play this long. As Pablo makes a touch, but Pedro Porro now will play it back to Vicario. West Ham leads 1-0. As Bissouma will play it right back to Romero. So Archie Gray comes off, and they figure, I don't know, maybe Bissouma is going to react. And that ball's going to move into Spence. As Jared Bowen does a good job right there. But Spence will hold it. Basuma now is going to try to make a touch to find Xavi, but that ball rolls out. And again, another attacking sequence comes for Nada. Spurs cannot find any semblance of cohesion. Damn, she's hot. As that ball is going to figure its way out of play, and it's going to be a Spurs throw-in. As here's Spence. He's got to play it back. As Van de Ven now will play it over to Romero, who makes its way over to Pedro Porro, who's going to try to play one forward. And there's not going to be a whistle against Gallagher. Wow, because that dude just was pushed down to the turf, but no whistle. But Spurs do find the ball again. As here's Odebear. Taken away. Here comes West Ham. And that's taken away. Good tackle. 2 good tackles by 2. Oh, as Bowen's going to get the yellow. As Xavi is down. As we see it again, Bowen. Yeah, just a little late there. He was going for the ball, but the tackle was late on Xavi. 100% that's going to be a yellow in that situation. So Spurs have an opportunity here with a free kick. And so play's gotten a little physical here. And there's Dominic Solanke. As we are now in the 52nd minute, is this going to be an opportunity for Solanke to get on the pitch and maybe get a half hour, 25 minutes to a half hour? And it looks like Xavi is down. And this might be, well, there's Lucas Bergvall on the bench. So from that standpoint, there is another midfield replacement. And it looks like Thomas Frank is playing tic-tac-toe on the touchline with Dominic Solanke as he gets his marching orders. Xavi in the meantime looks like he's set up now. It's going to be interesting to see if Xavi is going to be able to continue as they replay the goal by Somerville. And that is where we stand here in the 53rd minute here at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Is have West Ham really looked all that great? No, not really. But they took advantage of their opportunity, and here we stand. Spurs haven't. And to be honest with you, the interesting thing is like the high percentage chances are like far and few between. It's like I hate hearing that from different pundits. Well, they lead the league in high percentage chances. It's like, great, how many of those are per game? 1, maybe 2. We just don't create those. We don't create those opportunities. And so from that standpoint, we'll go large stretches of the pitch without anything on net. And it looks like Xavi now is walking under his own power. So I probably assume he will come off for 10 seconds before returning, as Pedro Porro will stand over this free kick here. Plenty of time left for Spurs to get the equalizer as they're going to play this one short. Why? Why play it short? Against Wan-Bissaka, headed away, as it looks like Batista will come back and get it again. They'll try this one more time against Bissaka, as that ball is going to take a deflection. Why play it short? Here's Porro. Beats his man. Here's Tell. Lays it off. Porro takes a deflection, and then that's cleared. But right there is Christian Romero. As it finally meets Odebear. And now Porro will play it away to Jed Spence, and Spurs now will try to set up off that left-hand side. Here's Xavi. Cuts in. There's the slide deflection right there, but it bounces to Matisse Tell. As that leaks forward to Van de Ven. And I think this is going to get out for a corner. And yeah, it's going to be off the Wan-Bissaka right there as Mickey Van de Ven had an opportunity. So this is the third corner for Spurs. It's insane. We're 56 minutes, and they play it short again. Here's Xavi. Here's Tell. And that was just a bad pass. Here comes West Ham. It's Fernandez. Here's Jared Bowen. Bowen is going to play it forward. Just a little too far forward as Vicario comes out and boots this one away. But there is a whistle. And there's a yellow against Mickey Van de Ven, as frustrations have boiled over. I don't think Van de Ven was late. As Bowen played it forward, I think Van de Ven's timing was perfect. I don't think that was a yellow at all. But nonetheless, it is a yellow. So here in the 57th minute, as Bowen is up. As Spurs fans are getting restless here. As Thomas Frank is hoping for a miracle. As Mavros Pavos will play it off the right-hand side. And I think that's going to get out for a Spurs throw-in. As he was looking for Bowen. As Tati presses, taken away by Bowen. And that's going to get out off of Yves Bissouma. So West Ham will have the throw-in. Heads up play right there by Jared. As that ball goes in, Bowen turns. Good deflection. Here's Xavi. Play right there by Wan-Bissaka, who keeps the ball. There's the tap to the outside, and Bissaka's going to have to chase this. He does. Tries to play one in. Ooh. As Pablo got to the end of that one, that was deflected, and Pablo went bicycle and hit it over the bar right there. And Spurs again, wow, conceding space in the box. They are fortunate. Now, granted, it didn't look like it was going to be close, but the fact that Pablo was able to have time to do a bicycle, unreal. As this ball finds Vicario. And now it finds Christian Romero. And West Ham really isn't necessarily pressing with a lot of intensity, but they're doing it just enough as Van de Ven goes down. As play resumes, here's Bissouma, and here's Christian Romero. As we are 30 seconds away from the 60th minute, 30 minutes remain, and Spurs are trying to find the equalizer. That ball finds Conor Gallagher. As Gallagher did get one in, but that's going to be tipped away. And it will find Yves Bissouma, so we'll start this process all over again. Here's Pedro Porro. As it will find Scarless, who's now just going to boot this one away. As Fernandez is down. And Jared Bowen now is on the back of Jed Spence there. Here's Porro, taken away. And there's a whistle. And this will go against Spurs. And it looks like Dom Solanke will come in. And I would probably assume this is going to be a like for like with Randall Kolo Muani. As play resumes. And that's a good ball forward. Here's Somerville. Beats his man. Somerville. Oh, Mickey Van de Ven. He is so good at that play. Somerville was spraying free. Van de Ven comes across and absolutely wipes out the ball. And now Spurs are on the counter. Here's Chave. Chave to Odebear. Cuts. Basuma save. And Basuma was wide open right outside the 18. He was wide open. And Basuma just plays one in. Good save right there by Areola. That was probably Spurs' best chance of the afternoon right there. But yeah, Mickey Van de Ven again is an absolute wipeout defender right there. And it looks like Matisse Tell's coming off. Okay. So Randall Kolo Muani stays on. So what does he move to the right with Odebear to the left? Interesting. That ball gets whipped in, and it was just a bad cross. But it does find Jed Spence. As that ball will come in, Jared Bowden will hit it out. As Basaka plays it straight up. Spurs will come down with it. Here's Odo. Good defense by West Ham. Now that's taken away. And Basuma comes away with it. Heads up play by Basuma. As now they're trying to attack. Was that Susek? Yeah. As Shabby tried to play around Susek. Didn't necessarily work all that well. As that ball goes out for throwing. I agree. It is like WWE. That's funny. Yeah, it's gotten a little chippy here in the second half. One of the things that is actually quite surprising is that West Ham has kind of matched the intensity. And there's a shot of Matisse Tell. He is not happy that he came out of this match. I wouldn't have taken him out either. You know what's interesting is Randall Kolo Muani hasn't done. That ball's going to go in. Scores! Christian Romero with the romp bomb. Wow. And Spurs find an equalizer. And it was Pedro Porro. And there was Christian Romero. Good delivery by Porro. Yeah, and Romero was essentially unmarked right there. And it was him and Solanke. But boom, there's your equalizer. So Spurs find the equalizer. And now West Ham. And it'll be Somerville. Trying to get around the corner. He does. Somerville. It's held in. And now they're going to whistle this one against Tati. And Spurs will try to start quick. They found Odebear, but there's Areola right there. Ball was a little too far forward. And all of a sudden, now we have ourselves a new game. It's 0-0. Who's going to be able to get forward? And it looks like right now it's all Spurs. Here's Randall Kolo Muani coming in. And Susek will play this back out. And now here we go. Here's Fernandez. Actually, it's Pablo. No whistle. And now there's a whistle. As Spurs will have the free kick. And it looks like West Ham might be coming unglued. And yeah, that was Mavros Pavros with the tackle right there. Do Spurs have the ability to get that go-ahead goal? Now it looks like the fans are kind of re-engaged now that we were able to get that goal. And it'll be Pedro Porro standing over this free kick. As that ball goes in, headed away. And I think that was Yves Bissouma again, who absolutely sails that one over the crossbar. That one actually went into orbit. So West Ham will have the goal kick here. As Susek was trying to head that one away on his back foot, so it essentially gets popped up. And now Oriola will have to play this one long. As Xavi will get to it. Now all of a sudden that ball is going to get trapped off the right-hand side. Jared Bowen against Jed Spence. And that's going to come down to Fernandez of West Ham. Here's Susek. Lays it off to Wan-Bissaka. Tries to play one in. Shoots! Oh, that went wide. Just wide right of the post. As that ball was able to get in, and it actually found a target. It just went wide right. So this will be a goal kick for Spurs, and it'll be Vicario who will lay this one off to Van de Ven, who's running forward with the head of steam, plays one forward. And there's a whistle against Mavros Pavros, against Randall Kolomoani. All of a sudden now it feels like Spurs have the momentum here. Can they find the go-ahead? It'll be a free kick. Spurs are in dire need of 3 points here. Play resumes, and it'll find Wilson Odobert against Scarless. That's going to take a deflection. And that'll go out for a corner. And it'll be Pedro Porro with the corner here. As we're approaching now the 69th minute. As that ball goes in, headed away. Xavi makes a run for it. He will hold it in. Xavi. Good play right there. It looks like that was Scarless with a nice little tackle. Bissaka will kick out on Conor Gallagher. There's a ball that's going to go back post, and it's going to drop. Here's Somerville. Tried to pop it forward. And that'll get out for a West Ham throw-in. Spurs do get the equalizer as we are approaching this match with 20 minutes left. West Ham did have an opportunity or two here in the second half. Wasn't able to get a shot on target. Spurs find the equalizer. And it seems like Spurs have kind of dominated possession here. And there's going to be a whistle against Yves Bissouma. That'll go against Tati. Play resumes. Here's Odobert. That's a quick start here by Spurs. Here's Pedro, who's going to play one. Basaka wins that battle against RKM. Xavi. As Jed Spence wins that ball back. Here's Connor. Xavi. That's going to take a deflection out. This will be another corner for Spurs. And they'll play this one short. Here's Spence. Finds Odebear, who fires way wide right. So there goes another opportunity for Spurs to take the lead. I do want to thank all 842 of you guys who are tuning into this one, as the Tottenham Hotspur, for a large, even so it looks good in the last 20 minutes, by and large have missed the boat on this one, as getting into a close match with a team that's going to get relegated. Here's Conor Gallagher, and he gets pulled down. That'll go against Susek, and that's going to be a yellow. Yeah, the interesting thing, it's West Ham hasn't been fantastic, but then again, neither have Spurs. So this is essentially a tale of two halves again, and it might work out for Spurs, as we are now in the 70s, approaching the 72nd minute. Score is still even at 1 as Spurs are looking for the go-ahead. As this is going to be a dangerous free kick here for Pedro Porro. There it is, back post, headed on over the bar. As Christian Romero will take a knock to the side of the head. And now he's down. And even getting a draw is going to be an absolute letdown for this team. I think most Spurs fan coming into this one were predicting 3 goals. Some were predicting 4. Yeah, I didn't see it that way. This team just really does not necessarily do a great job from the run of play. I predicted a 1-1 draw. And so here we are, as that ball is not going to be taken away. It's Bowen. And yeah, looks like there's going to be a handball right there. So this will go back to West Ham. Yeah, like I'm in a position where I need to see it. I need to see consistency on a week-to-week basis before I'm going to happy clap with the rest of them. Trust me, I want a happy clap with the best. That ball's going to get played forward, and that's going to come down. And it looks like Slanky's going to try to play one forward. And he will find Tabito. As it looks like Ariola had to rush that. Oh, and it looks like that's going to go against Jed Spence, against Tati. So West Ham will grab possession here, as play resumes. So shots in the first half, West Ham had 11. Shots in the second half, now only 3. So Spurs have done a very good job defensively. They have actually done a really good job in the middle of the park as well, too. As that ball is going to come down. And that's going to play forward. Here's Basaka. Tries to play one forward. Oh, good play right there by Jed Spence to play that one out. As it looks like West Ham had itself a nice little overload on the right-hand side. They had 2 different attackers, one short, one over the top. Jed Spence came in and did a very good job. as we just saw the replay of Christian Romero. So I will give credit to Spurs here in the second half. But again, this is exactly what we saw against Villa. Spurs are trying to overcome a first half deficit. And, the only saving grace is the fact West Ham isn't necessarily getting forward, as that ball's going to try to go in, headed around. As Bowen try to find his way in, that's going to get tipped down. Here's Tabido. And here's Odegaard. Here's Porro. And that's going to be punched away by Ariola, headed forward. It does find Conor Gallagher. And it looks like West Ham was trying to play their way out of it. And now there's going to be a whistle. I think this might go against Somerville, so Spurs again will have a free kick. Nice heads-up play right there by Yves Bissouma. So play is restarted. Oh, it's Susek against Xavi. Good tackle. Here's Bowen. Bowen racing down. And I think that's going to be a foul against Jed Spence, against Bowen right there off the right side touchline. As West Ham's trying to keep it physical, trying to match the intensity so they can potentially walk away with at least a result here as play is resumed. And Pavros will play this one forward. Does find Bowen, and that's going to get out. No, it's not. That's going to get... And Bowen's down. And I think they're going to give West Ham a free kick here. And that's a yellow. That's going to be a yellow against Jed Spence. As we see this again, I thought that potentially got out, but it was deflected right back to Vicario. But they're going to say that's a yellow against Spence. And so now West Ham has a free kick in an area, a very dangerous area, all the way down outside the box off the right-hand side. And it looks like we will have a change here for West Ham. And it looks like Pablo's coming off. And coming in for the Hammers. Looks like it might be Dominguez. As he gets an extra applause from the away supporters there. And it'll be Rodriguez. Not exactly the greatest game from Pablo, but, it is what it is. So this will be a free kick here. We are now approaching the 79th minute. 11 minutes remain. As Spurs were able to get the equalizer. As here we go. There's the ball in. Headed up and away from Mickey Van de Ven. So play will stay down on this end, as now it'll be a corner. As Scarles now will take it. As this will be West Ham's fourth. And that ball goes in. And there, right there is Vicario. Good job right there by Vicario. And now Vicario will try to play this long. And I think they're going to say offside. As we are now in the 80th minute. as Thomas Frank hasn't been able to dial up an answer as that ball gets played long. And it finds Connor Gallagher. Pushed in. West Ham will take possession. Here's Bowen. Bowen tries to play one in. And there's a good play right there by Pedro Porro to play it right back into Vicario. Nobody was there at the back post for West Ham. 10 minutes remain here. Here's Mickey Van de Ven. And Jed Spence now will try to play one through. Good defense by West Ham as they were trying to find Solanke. Here's Somerville. And Spurs now are going to try to press late the Thomas Frank playbook as they spring Mavros Pavros down the right-hand side, and they allow him to walk across the halfway line. As they make it all the way to the left-hand side, here's Somerville. Scarlett will play one in, headed, and it wasn't necessarily a clean head right there, as it was no problem for Vicario to come out and grab it. And now Mickey Van de Ven has to play this long. And Solanke turns it over. And now Spurs will come away with it. It's Xavi. Here's Connor Gallagher, who will play it all the way to the right, taken away by Scarles. That pass is going to be taken away, so Spurs now will come back with possession. And it's Mickey Van de Ven. So here's Basuma. Finds Romero. Ooh, good turn. Blocked as Connor Gallagher took his first rip. And now they'll play this all the way back. It's Van de Ven. Coming out to defend against Spence is Bowen. There's a ball. It finds Connor Gallagher. He tries to swing run across the face of the goal. And it comes away. And it'll be a whistle against Spurs. As they're trying to Spurs are trying to argue for a penalty. As Xavi believed that was worthy of it. As Connor Gallagher came in. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if that was worthy of a penalty. There was definitely contact there. And I get the impression, now there's going to be a yellow card. Oh, and they're trying to say that there might be a handball there. And it looked like it was inadvertent. No doubt about it. It's a handball. Like his fingers touch it against Scarlett. But it didn't change the trajectory of the ball as it came down on Connor Gallagher's foot. If this is a handball, this is going to be absolutely huge. Like there's no doubt it touches Scarlett's, the end of Scarlett's finger. But yeah, like I didn't think that was, a blatant inadvertent handball to take away a scoring opportunity. Here's Solanke now And that's good defense right there by West Ham as that'll go out. So Spurs will try to act quickly here as we are now in the 85th minute. Like that's the thing. It's like if it was a blatant handball, essentially changing the the trajectory of the ball. I mean, that's where you get the penalty, especially in these attacking sequences. If it was malicious to the point where it was obvious, yeah, that's a penalty as that ball gets played in. And now that ball gets cleared out. But it didn't look like it did. It looked like it was an inadvertent touch right there by Scarless. So this will be a corner. As Spurs, they got a little bit of a mo here. See if they can cash it in. As Porro will play one short. As that ball will take a deflection, so we'll do this again. Do not play this short. You have two big bodies in there. And that ball will go to the backside, headed down. And it looks like that's going to get cleared out. So this will be a throw-in. And they'll give this up to Jed Spence, who immediately plays it back to Basuma. And now here's Spence. And that'll clear. Good cross. Here's Pedro Porro. Porro now. As that comes down. And West Ham will clear. As that'll find Jared Bowen. But it'll also find Yves Basuma, who will play this back. Here's Gallagher. And Gallagher will play it forward. And I think that's going to get out for a corner. So Spurs will do it again in the 87.5 minute. And it looks like Lucas Bergvall is set to come on. As that ball gets played in. Chipped away. Held in by Odo. As that ball's going to go across and find Xavi. Xavi puts one on. Good save by Areola. That was an absolute cracker by Xavi. Oh, what an opportunity for Xavi. As we're now in the 88.5. A minute and a half left to play here at the stadium. Can Spurs find the winner? Here's Porro. Somerville will head it out. It'll find Xavi. And now Pedro Porro went out there to do it again, but it did find Somerville who chipped it back in. Spurs will hold possession. Here's Gallagher. Gallagher, that ball is going to take a deflection. It's going to be out for a throw-in. And Gallagher will throw it in quick. Here's Jed Spence. Here's CG. That's going to take a deflection. Blocked out by Rodriguez. As we'll start again. And now Gallagher will concede for Pedro Porro. Here comes Lucas Bergvall. Good to see Lucas back. As Odebear comes off, Bergvall comes on. So how are they going to deploy this with Lucas Bergvall? Are they going to play with two strikers? So now West Ham will make will make a switch as Castellanos will come off. Tati comes off for Nuno, and Wilson will come on. As we are now in the 90th minute, how much time is left? It'll be 6 minutes for the final whistle. And Bergvall will launch this one into the box. Headed forward. Spurs will keep it in. And Somerville will try to boot this one out. But there is a whistle. And this will be West Ham possession. Much better second half, I guess, for Spurs. Did find the equalizer. So that's half the battle as Areola will put one on, headed forward. That'll come down to Wan-Bissaka. And Bissaka will put one in. That'll fall down. Shoots! Oh, what a block. What a block by Pedro Porro as it found Wilson. That was the winner right there. Heads up play as Callum Wilson found it. Oh, dear. Heads up play by Pedro Porro. So this will be a West Ham corner. Scarles will be taking this one. As this ball gets swung in. Back post. Down. Goal by West Ham. And it is Callum Wilson who finds a potential winner here. Oh. And it's absolute shell shock here at the stadium as Tottenham have conceded a late goal. And I'm trying to sit here and find out. And I think this thing is going to stand. As in that scrum, it just fell to Wilson. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, that's a good goal. So West Ham has potentially found a winner here in the 93rd minute. As Thomas Frank is left stunned. As they are checking for possible offside. As West Ham supporters are absolutely going crazy. How do you drop it to West Ham? As we have hit an all-time low. Unreal. As play is going to be resumed here. And is somebody being sent off here? Is Fernandez being sent off? Oh, he's a substitution. Okay. As Kilman comes in for Fernandez. So Nuno is going to bring in some defense. Play resumes as Vicario now will play it long. As this ball was kept in, here's Scarless. As that's going to be headed forward. As Vicario now will play it out to Jet Spence. A minute to play. Here's Basuma. Here's Conor Gallagher. Here's... Oh, good play right there. Oh, and Lucas Bergvall played one in. Mavros Pavros was there. This is probably going to be it for Spurs. As Lucas Bergvall actually put one right through Callum Wilson's leg. So this will be the 11th corner from Spurs. Here's Pedro Porro. And that's going to get headed down and out. And there's your... I think that's going to do it. As the time for change banners start coming out. As Thomas Frank looks absolutely dejected. Fans are leaving. Fans are booing. Unbelievable. As it looks like Areola now will play this long. And they're going to try to clear it. Here's Solanke. Here's Spence. Trying to play the 1-2 with Xavi. All over to Pedro Porro. And that's going to take a deflection and out. As West Ham is waiting for the final. That ball's going to go in. Here's Connor. That's going to take a deflection. And that is Bergvall. Headed forward. Ooh! And they just can't find a handle. As Tadibo. And down goes Randall Kolomoani. Spurs were playing for extra time here. As that nearly was an equalizer right there. So here's the throw-in. As a Hail Mary back post, and that's going to get out. And there's your ball game. West Ham has beaten Tottenham Hotspur 2-1. As we get into the stats here, and hold on. You know what? Screw all this, man. Screw the stats. Screw the stats. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? You know, allegedly we're a big club. Allegedly we have this lofted status, and we have sunk to a low where we're losing to West Ham United at home. A team that's 7 points adrift and is going to go down. You knew exactly how this game plan was going to work out, and you didn't come out firing in the first half. As a matter of fact, you wasted 45 minutes in the first half just to find your legs in the second half. And yes, for a brief period of time, we were able to get an equalizer, but then that fizzles out, and now you're playing for a draw. You're playing not to win, and all of a sudden they find a late winner. And this is it. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. Thomas Frank might be a nice guy. he might be one of the nicest guys in the world. But that being said, results have to matter. Results absolutely have to matter. It cannot continue this. Listen, I understand that it's a project. I get it. I 100% get it. But that being said, you still have to be able to get results in order to build confidence, in order to get, the trust of the fans for you to actually be able to do something like that, to convince the fan that this is a good direction to go in. And we haven't seen it. We lose to West Ham United. No disrespect to the Hammers, but we battered them the first time around in their stadium. Like, has it gotten to the point where we can't beat West Ham United? Like, I didn't think I was going to be right with my prediction yesterday. I said 2-1 West Ham yesterday. You can go on the TikTok and you can find it. I didn't necessarily. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I did believe it because this team is absolutely rubbish right now. And yeah, like, listen, I think I'm with Benny Guy here because this is just unbelievable. There's no excuse for losing to West Ham United, a team that is going down. They are going down. Well, maybe not because they just got 3 points. So now they're 4 points adrift. But you're talking to a team that absolutely got dummied against Wolves. A team that literally cannot, hit the broadside of a barn when it comes to passes and shots. And you allow them to come into the stadium and do that. I am absolutely pissed off at this team. Ugh. All right. By the way, Spurs finished with 62% of possession to West Ham's 38. XG 2.69 for West Ham, 1.68 for Spurs. 21 shots to West Ham 17. Shots on target, 6-4 Spurs. Big chances, 3 apiece. Both teams missed 2. Accurate passes, 399. West Ham's 227. Fouls committed, 17-12. West Ham corners, they dominated 11-5 Spurs. But, XG open play, 1.19 to 1.15. XGs from set plays, 0.48 to West Ham's 1.54. It's unreal, man. It's unreal. Shots inside the box, West Ham 17, Spurs 15. Passes, total passes, Spurs 480 to West Ham's 302. Accurate long balls, West Ham 24, Spurs 22. Accurate crosses, 9-6 Spurs. Touches in the opposition box, 52. We had 52 touches in their box and couldn't find a winner. To West Ham's 29. Spurs had 5 yellow cards to West Ham's 3. West Ham won the tackle battle 27-16. They won the interceptions as well too, 18-10. 44 clearances for West Ham, 14 for Spurs. Keeper saves 5-2. West Ham. Duels won 67-63 West Ham. Ground duels 44-42 Spurs. Aerial duels 25-19. And successful dribbles 11-5 Spurs. I am sorry. It becomes absolutely frustrating for me to do these type of things because every single week, man, you come in with like a sliver of hope because you look at some of the players that we have and they're not bad players, but yet you see these type of performances where they waste large chunks of time throwing darts at a dartboard and hoping something will stick. There's no through balls. There's no inside runs. There's no trying to get yourself in better positions. It always is concession. And I'm sorry, man. Like, I understand the way that Frank wants to play, but it's just not suitable. Not now. No, not without an overhaul of players that actually fit that system. And of course, he's not going to get them. And so, I was saying this morning, it's like, what does it matter if they're not going to be used in a manner that's actually, going to yield results? This is exactly how it plays out, man. I am so frustrated, man. Unbelievable. It's inexcusable. I'm sorry. Under no circumstances can you lose to West Ham United. Okay, fine. So in the other London derbies, you lose to Chelsea, you lose to Arsenal. Okay, I guess that might be I guess that's kind of par for the course. But, to lose to Fulham at home and now to West Ham, what are we fucking doing here, man? What are we doing? And by the way, this should be a fireable offense. I know that the board has said that they're going to back him. How can you back a manager that can't beat West Ham at home at all? And it doesn't make me happy. Now we have Borussia Dortmund at home before going on the road against a team like Burnley. Okay, but this type of form, we're not going to get out of the league phase in the Champions League, and that's going to be it. And so at that point, you probably would have to go with a caretaker just to get the good vibes going. And, again, I don't think we're going to be relegated. But that being said, it's like, would I rule out a 16th or 17th place finish? No. Not the way that this team is playing. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. Thomas Frank might be the nicest dude in the world, but the fit is just not there. We will be back tomorrow with Dermatron from Tottenham Hotspur Till We Die, THFC TWD, to go over this in the weekend wrap. So make sure you hit your like and subscribe buttons and also hit your notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming content. I do want to thank the 899 of you that are watching in this live. I want to thank those that decided to drop in the chats as well too. Benny Guy, big fan. Alex Andrew Lopez, 313. Greg, 1987. We have Lee the Yid, 7Y7. I want to thank you guys. Natesky and Dan Davenport, man, you guys were awesome today. And I do appreciate the love dropping into the chat. Man, this is just so frustrating. And yeah, I'm sorry, man. It just is what it is. I'm going to take off, guys. I'm sorry that we couldn't get a win today. And these are the frustrating moments. But right now, Tottenham Hotspur are in a downward spiral, and it just is what it is. So hopefully next week, man. Hopefully next week things get a little bit better. But if Thomas Frank is around, all bets are off. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Again, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and hit the notification bell. We will be back tomorrow. You guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Take care.